Hi, this is John, and welcome to another edition of Statistics Tell a Story. Had another bad week last week, now 12-18 on the year. Not a very good start. I do want to point out one thing. I am referring to spots in the DraftKings contest, which are what we would call static spots, meaning that they put out the spots early in the week and they remain that way. Now, there can be pluses and minuses with that. For example, there can be a bad spot that's changed and you take advantage of that. There are other sites, and particularly Action Network is sponsoring a free contest that some of you may be aware of. And those spots change during the week, which again, there can be good and bad, but the upside of changing spots during the week is that you can, if you log in on, say, a Thursday night and you see spots that are favorable for a collection of games, you can pick them right then, okay? If you don't, if, say, Saturday they move against you or whatever, you can then repick 5 games. Now, you have to repick all 5 games, so that's a little bit of a downer. But either way, you kind of have more flexibility. For what it's worth, I'm 16-14 in that contest. The one thing I've noticed that, and I'm certain you have noticed this, a lot of spots are around 3. They're either 2.5, 3, 3.5, and a lot of times that's a big difference. And there are games I've taken in the other contest where I got a favorable spot where I didn't in this contest. But anyway, no excuses. I'm still 12-18. This is the one I've cited. I will right the ship by the end of the year. Hopefully we start this week. And my first pick is the Giants. They're getting 1.5 points, and I give them a 57% chance of covering. They're playing the Redskins. The Redskins are not a very good team. They maybe arguably could be 1-5 instead of 3-3. I think Ron Rivera is one of the worst coaches in football. He was actually coach of the year, I think, twice back with Carolina. And if you look at his record, I think he only had like 3, maybe 4 winning seasons with Carolina in like 10 or 11 years, something like that. The Giants have been very bad. They've had a banged up offensive line. They actually set the record for the most sacks allowed in the first 5 weeks of the season with 30. Last week, they actually got better. They really probably should have beaten the Buffalo Bills. Brian Daboll, I think, is a decent coach. I think they're in a good spot to bounce back, and I like them first at 57%. Second pick are the Bears, getting 3.5 points. I actually do not think the Bears are a very good team. I think they're one of the worst teams in football, but I think they're also playing one of the worst teams, which is the Raiders, who have a very bad coach, Josh McDaniels, and the Raiders are very lucky to be 3-3. It's supposed to be windy in Chicago. They're getting 3.5 points, a favorable spot, a little bit above the 3. And I think that game will be close, and I'll take the 3.5 points. I give them a 55% chance of covering. The Falcons are getting 2.5 points against Tampa. I actually like this game for no other reason than a contrarian indicator that I follow that's been pretty good. I'm just going to leave it at that. I give them 55% chance. The Eagles are laying 2.5 points against the Dolphins. I believe that is the night game. Also supposed to be some, I think, windy conditions, which might affect the strength of the Dolphins, although the Dolphins have a strength in both running and passing. I think that the Dolphins are kind of at their top of the market. Eagles are maybe at the bottom of their market because they lost last week. They're at home. The Dolphins have beaten up on bad teams. They've been very impressive in doing so, but I think the Eagles will cover the 2.5 points. I give them a 54% chance. And then finally, the Broncos are getting 0.5 points against the Packers. This is largely a pick of quarterbacks. I think I did that, was it 2 weeks ago, where I took the Broncos against Zach Wilson. It didn't work out so good. Again, Russell Wilson having a pretty good year. They still have, I think, an above-average coach. The Broncos do, and Sean Payton. And I give them a 53% chance of covering. And, by the way, one other thing. I would have loved to have taken the Colts at 3.5 points. against the Browns. I think the Browns are going to let down against San Francisco. It's only 2.5 points in this contest. Excuse me. I actually did bet the Browns a little bit at 3.5 points. Excuse me. I bet the Colts at 3.5 points. But they're only getting 2.5 points, as I said, in this contest. So anyway, but I couldn't put them in the contest just getting 2.5 points. Although last week I mentioned that I had liked the Browns with 9.5 points, which was the spot. I actually bet that. It was 5.5 points against San Francisco, which they, of course, not only covered, they won the game, but I didn't put in the contest. All right. Anyway, so hopefully that all made sense. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Statistics Tell a Story. Thank you.